Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Why can't we get along? Why can't we look at each other and say, hey, you're a human being, but I voted for somebody on the other side? I don't care. Because I don't know why we can't. I don't know why we can't have conversations anymore that are not based in politics, just based as human beings. You know, people say, what's your show about? I said everything. I said talk about sports, talk about music, talk about everything. We have fun because that's what life is, right? Going around talking about everything. I don't know how people sit here and talk about politics 24/7. I don't. But Chad, you're on the radio. You're supposed to be. No, I'm not. Right? I want to act like you and I are hanging out, having a good time. It's just you and I hanging out, having dinner, talking about the kids, talking about everything, how these things affect our lives. They don't affect our lives. How it's nuts. We can't have nice things because we won't let each other have nice things because we're too busy, right? Being tribal and fighting. I don't get it. Why can't you hear what somebody else has to say? I don't care what it's about. Guns, climate change, pro-choice, pro-life. Why can't you listen? What scares you that you're going to find out on the other side? And I think a lot of it is our ego. There's a big thing that goes with our ego. Because if we are caught out in believing something that isn't true or isn't true to the extent that we thought, that's a big blow, right? Right, that's a big blow. That's huge. For our ego. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I understand that. But we're at this point where it's ridiculous. We live in a cancel culture where we want to cancel everybody. We want to destroy their livelihood based on their political affiliation. I touched on a bit yesterday with Eric McCormick, who's Will, and Deborah Messing, who's Grace, from Will and Grace, and how they went after people who are going to be at a Trump fundraiser in Beverly Hills, and they want to know who they are and exactly what they've done so they know that they can never work with them again based on that, because that is super diversity right there. It's groupthink, right? Nothing in the world's... Do you know what, to me, when I think of groupthink, do you know what, to me, when I think of groupthink, I think of cult, right? I think of cult. I don't think of diversity. I think of cult. And it's just amazing that we live in this day and age that people will do that, right? Especially when you're supposed to be woke, right? Especially when you're supposed to be. And I hear all the time, well, Chad, the left is so diverse and the right is what? Well, they're bad and evil and they're all these things. No, they've got their problems, but so does the left. Nobody ever wants to see the problems in their house. Everybody always wants to give you advice on something, right? And a lot of times the people that are giving advice have no place to give any advice whatsoever. So I was happy yesterday when Whoopi Goldberg came out and went after him on The View.
Deborah Messing and Eric McCormick are calling on The Hollywood Reporter to print a list of all the attendees of a Beverly Hills fundraiser for you-know-who, so they know who they don't want to work with. They say that the public has a right to know. Listen, last time people did this, people ended up killing themselves. This is not a good idea. Your idea of who you don't want to work with is your personal business. Do not encourage people to print out lists, because the next list that comes out, your name will be on, and then people will be coming after you.
Yeah, and she's absolutely right. She is, right? She's absolutely right. Same thing happened with one of the Castro brothers who they printed stuff about who donated here. We've seen it in the past in little places, right, where somebody finds out that they gave money years ago to something, and they come after him. I always go back to the guy that was the president of Mozilla and Firefox, who believed in traditional marriage a decade earlier, and they found out that he had given money to, a supporter against Prop 8. I can't even remember. I mean, it was just so stupid. It was like $1,000 or something. And they went after to the point where he had got his dream job, and they destroyed him to where he had to resign because he had a different belief system. What in sweet mamma jamma are we doing with one another that we can't even look over to a fellow American who voted or has a different political view and say, I don't agree with that, but I'll hear what you have to say. And they're like, how are the kids? Right? Because we just can't for whatever reason. And when in this cancel culture, we are no longer interested in having a conversation. What we want to do is to punish and destroy people who don't think like we do.
We had something called the blacklist, and a lot of really good people were accused of stuff. Nobody cared whether it was true or not. They were accused, and they lost their right to work. You don't have the right in this country. People can vote for who they want to. That is one of the great rights of this country. You don't have to like it, but we don't go after people because we don't like who they voted for.
No, but we do now. We do, right? We go after, in the cancel culture, anybody we don't agree with in the groupthink world. I don't like what you talked about here because you have a differing opinion of the LGBT community or of Muslims or of Christians or of this or of that, or because you support, the Second Amendment, or I don't. So what I'm going to do is do everything in my power to destroy you, to out you as something evil and bad, to paint you as something, even if it's not true. Because in this day and age, we don't care about the truth. All we want to do is do our virtue signaling, act like we're part of the woke generation, destroy somebody, and we'll just move on. We're just going to move on. We're just going to move on. We don't care if it's true. We don't care how it affects you or your family, your livelihood, the people that work with you. We don't care about any of that. And that is a sad, sad, sad thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Dorian still slow. Dorian is not a sprinter. Right? Dorian's more of just like, I'm coming. I got stuff. We're coming. Here we come. President Trump was out. And by the way, can I just make this statement? I don't care who you are in politics, right? When you bring out a board and you got a pointer, I'm not into that. But he did that this morning from the Oval Office talking about Florida.
We got lucky in Florida, very, very lucky indeed.
Lucky indeed, but also talked about the Bahamas. And if you've not seen the Bahamas, go look at pictures, because what's left is not the Bahamas.
We're helping in a humanitarian way. We've been asked to help by the government of the Bahamas, and we have numerous helicopters, and we're sending some people to give them a hand, and they need a big hand. What's going on over there is incredible. Few people have seen anything like that.
Yeah, it looks like pictures from World War II after the destruction at Hiroshima, or after the massive tsunami, throughout Southeast Asia. I mean, it looks frightening. There's nothing left there in certain areas. It is just, I was telling somebody yesterday, it reminds me of, they'll show a town in the middle of the country that's been hit by a tornado, but you only see like one street because a lot of houses, tornadoes, it's very bizarre. They may hit one thing, but imagine a tornado essentially that just destroyed everything. And that's what it looks like. Just nothing left, just debris, just absolute insanity. Producer Phil, remind everybody again about nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Doesn't have to always be an animal. Just putting it out there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out the old Instagram as well. So the kids call it the gram, right? So you got the Instagram. I was reading today that Facebook is toying with the idea of getting rid of likes. So you can see who's liked. Like they're going to do with Instagram because they own Instagram. They're going to do the same thing that potentially with Instagram because they feel that it's going to help your mental well-being, I guess. So you're not in competition. Life is a competition. So let's not pretend it's not. And I find it to be interesting because here's the thing. And this is why, they've done this in Australia with Instagram. And I don't know if they're going to do it here because these things are set up to be very much like video games, right? Video games, it's about what? Achievement, badge, continuing to grow, competition, the whole 9 yards. There's a certain portion of that dopamine released. Yeah. If you get rid of these things, right? If you get rid of these things, in particular, situations like Instagram where you get rid of likes and you have people who are huge influencers, it's not for you and I, right? But if all of a sudden, as the Jenners have done, right? Kylie and Kendall and the Kardashians say, we're not going to use Instagram anymore because of this. But even to a certain extent, the average person, we like to see it because there is that certain sense of competition. And I just don't know how Facebook thinks it can do it. Well, it's better for our well-being. Maybe in some ways so. Right? But the reality is people are about achieving. They want to see. There is still that competition side of it. And if you take that away, people are going to go look elsewhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and Instagram. You can like my stuff or not like my stuff. I don't really bother. I think if I was younger, I'd care. I see it with my son. He cares about stuff like that. Like, Dad, if I start a YouTube channel, you think I get a good trillion people? Maybe. I don't know. But they care about that. They do. They absolutely they get 5 likes. Oh my God, there's so much worth in it. But we'd have done the same thing if we'd have grown up. But we don't. We didn't grow up with that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. My Pillow is amazing. Mike Lindell. So you know Mike Lindell, right? So he's the inventor, CEO of My Pillow. He wants to say thank you. Thank you for listening to Chad Benson Show and supporting it. It's doing something amazing for my listeners. Up to 50% off My Pillows, mattress toppers, bed sheets, and much, much more. Last night, I looked like I was uber sponsored by My Pillow. I've got my mattress topper. I have my bed sheets. I have my Pillows. I have the body pillow. I have everything. It was just, the only thing I'm missing is tearaway sweats, right? I need him to get on that. But right now, you can save up to 50% on all of those and so much more, including, get ready for this, normally $90 for the body pillow, $29.99 with promo code Benson. Simple and easy, 6-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, free shipping. Jump on this now. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special, or call 800-983-4975 and save up to 50% on everything, including the body pillow for only $29.99. Enter promo code Benson. All right, can you do that for me? Thank you very much. Thank you. 800-983-4975 or MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Some of the best conversations I ever had on the Seinfeld set were with Michael Richards, who thinks totally differently than I do. But I couldn't wait to present him with an issue or something because I was always interested in his perspective on it, and I was always fascinated. My dearest friend Bryan Cranston, another liberal thinker, certainly opposite to me, he and I can sit for hours discussing an idea. And I love that. I cherish that, not with the premise of trying to convince each other.
That's John O'Hurley right there, who is hilarious, Seinfeld actor, has been on a ton of stuff, who's conservative. And as we talk about this thing, somebody texted in and says, could you work with a Nazi? And I said, and I have. I have. Absolutely. Did I like their ideology? No. Did I know they were Nazi before I hired them? No. After I found out, how did I find out? Well, I mean, and let's be real. They were a modern day version of the BS. They're not Nazis in the sense. They're not walking around in the Hugo Boss suits, with the death heads. So, but I hired a girl, and she looked, it was Orange County. My buddy hired me to set up a bunch of phone rooms for him, and I did that. And I hired a girl, and, it was like a mass hiring, and because we needed to get this thing set up fast. So I did, and she was really good. And then she had a flannel, and she was punk rock and kind of thing. And then about, a week or two later, she took her flannel off and she had suspenders on and she was super inked up, and she had 88 all over, which is the 8th letter of the alphabet, which is H, and yeah, she had 88 and 13 for the 13 words, and her and I would have vigorous discussions about stuff. And I don't think she bought into everything, but she was born into it. Mother and father were huge in the Aryan Brotherhood. And it was very interesting because she also sat next to a woman that I just placed them all in their cubes. And the lady next to her was this older, black lady, and they got along like gangbusters. I was laughing my ass off. She even gave her a ride home one night. Did I like her politics? No. Would that have changed my mind? Would I have not have hired her? Again, that was a long time ago. But you don't know what the person next to you feels. You don't know what the person next to you thinks. In this day and age, of this bizarre world of craziness and cancel culture, I continue to tell everybody, if you want true diversity, right? If you want diversity, like true diversity. People say, well, you need to see past the color. You need to no. The beauty of diversity is the fact that we're all different. But if you want true diversity, it doesn't start with who you love, who you worship, what you identify as, right? Whether you're male or female, any of that stuff. It starts in your mind, right there in your dome. Do you have a different thought process than me? Oh, interesting. I'm interested, right? I'd like to know. What about it? Why do you like this? Why do you like? I can understand. The funny thing is, I've got friends who are uber liberal. Some are uber progressive. We'll talk, and I said, don't you ever understand why there's a draw for Trump? And a few of them who are intelligent enough get it. But a lot of them, they don't. And because they don't care anymore to even take the time to find out, well, why was there a draw for Trump? Why did people like Trump? Or why do people like this? And it's the same thing on the right. Why do people like the Bernies of the world and this, that, and the other? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Text the program as well. It's Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Because there's a lot of people on TV talking about guns that clearly have never shot a gun, don't know the difference between a semi-assault rifle and assault rifle. Vice President Biden actually said that he wants to have a complete and total assault weapons ban. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives doesn't even define the term assault weapon, so that could basically mean any gun. So I think people need to start getting really specific. Beto O'Rourke wants to have a complete and total, I call it gun grabbing, but he wants to have a mandatory gun buyback. How do you think you're going to come to somebody's house, and what are you going to pay? It just doesn't seem like that's rational conversation.
It's not. It's not rational. And by the way, you think you're just going to come take somebody's gun? Yeah. San Francisco, which is usually leading the world of insanity, yesterday decided, hey, we're going to come out and we're going to declare the NRA a domestic terrorist organization.
The NRA exists to spread disinformation and knowingly puts weapons in the hands of those who would harm and terrorize us.
That right there is Catherine Stephanie. She is the head of the San Francisco board, right? And I like how she says knowingly puts their, the guns in these hands. So like, hey, is there a crazy person or an angry, pissed off person over here? Oh, there is? Fantastic. Look, load them up. Load them up because we love this stuff. Shut up.
The NRA exists to spread disinformation and knowingly puts weapons in the hands of those who would harm and terrorize us.
San Francisco's Board of Supervisors today taking the drastic step of officially declaring the nation's premier gun ownership advocates a terrorist organization. Supervisor Catherine Stephanie wrote the scathing declaration, reading in part, quote, "The National Rifle Association spreads propaganda that misinforms and aims to deceive the public about the dangers of gun violence."
Yeah. Here's the thing about gun violence. Without a human being, there is no gun violence. People say, how do we stop this? Well, there's things we can do to mitigate certain things. Doesn't mean violence is going to end, right? It just doesn't. We live in a world of protected bubbles. And we've never been in a better time in the history of mankind. So when the bubble gets burst or when somebody breaches, right? Something happens. We're like, oh, we all freak out. Right? Somebody said today, people shouldn't have these guns. People shouldn't have any guns. I'm like, well, why? Because, bad people. I said, well, you're blaming the gun. Again, rational thought. Stand back for a second. Rational thought. It's ridiculous. You know that as well as I. If you're open-minded. Now, do I want people to have easy access to certain things? No. Can we look at doing some stuff with private sales, things of that nature? Oh, I'm totally on board with that. I got zero problem sitting down talking about certain things that I think that we could, and we should also start enforcing certain laws that just aren't being enforced and haven't been enforced for God knows how long. But if you want to eliminate all of this, then eliminate human beings. Because as long as human beings will walk, talk, and think, at some point in time, somebody is going to lose the plot. They're going to be angry. They're just going to go crazy, whatever it is, and they're going to do something. No matter how many guns you take away, people will find a way. And then what? I don't know. We've got to eliminate it. We've got to just eliminate it. It's about eliminate. I've got to eliminate it. No, the safety bubble has been breached over the last month and a half. We think it's a 24/7 nonstop thing. That it's just all it is this is what it is. We don't want to deal with the real issues of lack of fathers in home, the fact that we don't seem to have any a real parental figures, male parental figures for a lot of young men. The movie that's coming out, The Joker, it's a great article today. And producer Phil, we have talked about this. I've been talking about this for months about the insanity of mirroring the Joker and what's happening in the world. Pissed off, angry young men who've got no male figure in their life, who suck at dating, who are pissed off and angry at the world. And there's an article today talking about it's the rise of the incel. The rise of the incel. What? Yeah, it is. The rise of these weak people, males, who got nothing. Who feel like they're owed something, who've had nobody to guide them and say, get off your ass and stop whining and bitching and moaning. So instead, we'll go label the NRA. Look, the NRA is a mess, right? They're a hot mess. A hot mess. So I'm not a member of the NRA. Supporter of the Second Amendment, I'm not a member of the NRA. It's not me. It's not my thing. I understand what they do. And like so many organizations, what they started as, whether it's 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500, whatever it is, what they started as compared to what they are today are two different things. But we're not going to deal with the real stuff. If you want to eliminate all this violence, you want to eliminate these things, then eliminate human beings. Eliminate thought, right? Mind control as much as possible. Just that's the way. If you really want to do it, that's what you have to do. Well, that's stupid, Chad. As long as human beings have free will, as long as human beings have the rights to think for themselves, they have the right to free speech, they'll have the right to be angry. They'll have the right at times to do awful and horrible and stupid and vile things, and they'll have the right to do good. And unfortunately, in this day and age, we're going to have to deal with the fact that, you know what? We're going to have some people do some bad things. But there's a lot more people out there that do good things. But we so hyper-focus on nothing but the bad. But if you truly want to eliminate all of this, then you have to eliminate free thought. And you may have to eliminate humans. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I do like hearing from you. Several people have tweeted in talking about the fact that we were talking before the break about the fact that, would you work with a Nazi? And I said, I worked with one. I didn't know she was a Nazi when I hired her, but she wasn't very good at it. And somebody said, she wasn't very good at it. No, she wasn't. But I mean, she grew up in it. She did. She grew up in it, and she was a good worker. There's a lot of people I've worked with in the past that are in the different parts of the world from my beliefs, whether it's politically or, the morals, but I'm not going to put my morals on you and this, that, and the other. I think we all have. And you don't know what the person sitting next to you, in the cube that you're in the office next to you, the person you're serving lunch to, the person that, guess what? Serving you lunch. You don't know what they're like. You know what their belief is, any of those things. And I think that's something that we need to think about. Because in this day and age of us trying to ban everything and everybody from everything is stupid. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet. She was not a good Nazi. I will say that. She was not. She was not what you expect. But she was the Nazi pinup girl, as we used to joke about. She had that, kind of punk rock, like look. But, the tattoos, the 88 and the, and some of the other stuff that was on there that if you know anything about World War II, you're like, I know what that is. I know you're not going to regret it later, but I'm thinking you are. So tonight, is it everybody who's running for president on the left gets their own hour or 40 minutes? It looks like 40 minutes of climate change on CNN. I think it's tonight. I don't know. And here's a perfect example of this climate change where we should have conversations. So let's have conversations about climate change. And by the way, it starts in a little while and it goes for, I don't know, until next month. Here's a perfect example of what we should be doing. We should be talking about climate change. How can technology help us advance with climate change? Right? Whether it's man-made or it's just a cyclical thing based on the climate and based on several varying factors. How can we go about and have an honest conversation about stuff? And nobody cares who gets the credit, right? Nobody cares who gets the credit. Like now we're all in it. I don't care who gets the credit. So what can we do? So tonight, they're going to come on and they're all going to throughout the day, I think we should spend $800 trillion. We should do this. We should do that. When I listen to many of them talk about this, very rarely do the stuff that they lead with their climate change. It leads with, well, we got to do better for the climate. Climate's got to be, and they'll do their thing. But very rarely is it about, hey, technology is going to come along. We've got, carbon capturing and things that we're looking at, things that I think will really help. Because it's about, right, if we're going to be serious, it's about really doing something. And then it goes from there to, it becomes all about social justice and all of these things. And that's when you lose them. Because what you're looking for is you want to grab more power. You want to make government more the central focus of your life. It's like, I need more power. The best thing to do is to make a boogeyman. And that boogeyman's a climate. The climate's coming to get you. You anger the climate gods and they're coming to get you. And that makes me laugh my ass off. It does. I want to talk about it. I want to look at it in every different way, right? I want to run in and say, okay, what can we do? How can we make things better? We live here, so let's not, this is where we live. Let's not crap where we eat. Let's do a better job taking care of things. How do we use technology? How do we not throw our economy into our people and actually do something that's beneficial as opposed to virtue signaling and we affect 10% of the globe's climate, maybe 15%? And how do we do it in a way where it's not based solely on giving up more power and at the same time you saying, if you don't do this, we're all going to die? It's over. It's too late. It's over. Because we've all heard that before, right? We've all heard that before. And here we are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Please tweet at me. Do love hearing from you. Speaking, I said this earlier. I did a video. Check it out. Chad Benson Show Facebook page. Remember the millennial group, the millennials, the younger generation, the Gen Zers. Globally, this is their Cold War. Globally, this is their fight against tyranny and evil, the Nazis and the access of evil. This is their fight right here. And they're all coming together. It's a feel-good thing, right? Who doesn't feel good about saving, polar bears and all of that? Who doesn't feel good about that? But underneath it all, what's really this thing about? Just saying. Lightstream. And give me any sound effects. I give it to him. So you got a credit card. You may have several of them. You got pretty good credit, but man, you look and you're like, oh my God, I'm paying 19%. That's the average. 19% is the average interest rate. Like there are guys on the street that you meet by a phone booth who will give you money in a bag. They will not charge you 19%. Right? And they'll break your legs. Lightstream will do none of that. You can get a credit card consolidation loan. Get ready for this, low as 5.95% APR with autopay. Plus, you're going to get a special rate discount. I'm going to tell you how to do that in a minute. Now, here's the great thing. No fees, no application fees, no origination fees. Are you getting where I'm going? No transaction fees, no prepayment penalties. Are you understanding? Loans up to $100,000 in many cases. You can get it the same day you apply. And they've got an online application. So easy. You can apply right from your phone. Boom. Now, I said that special interest rate, discount. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. Find out how you get it. LIGHTSTREM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
From The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel,
I want a pink dressing room. Can you put that in my contract?
To The Handmaid's Tale and more, women are speaking up, specifically getting more speaking roles on TV shows. A new report from San Diego State Center for the Study of Women in TV and Film says 45% of significant characters on TV are now women, an all-time high, and women make up 31% of creators, directors, and other behind-the-scenes jobs, the highest share in the study's 22-year history. This comes after a major push in the past couple of years to correct the gender imbalance, but there's still work to do. For instance, the study says 96% of cinematographer jobs still go to men.
Oh, God, 96%? Are you kidding me? We got to fix that. Got to fix it. What if women aren't thrilled by that? What if that's like they want to do other things? They would rather do speaking and they'd rather do some other stuff rather than cinematography jobs. What about that? I'm just curious. I mean, I got a couple buddies who are cinematographers. It doesn't seem to be one of those things that, because we talked about like certain things like this. And like there's just some things that, that there's no draw to. But no, it should be. Well, what if there's not? I mean, sometimes in life, no matter how much you want to make it so, doesn't make it so. Right? Like, well, we need to make this way. Even in Scandinavian countries, right? Bernie always talks, Scandinavian countries, they do it right, blah, blah, blah. He talked about, all of that, but they tried to do stuff like this, where they tried to slant it so more women would get involved, and in the end, what ended up happening? Women still went a certain way, men still went a certain way, just kind of the thing that happens. Sometimes that's what it is. This is it, right? Like, they want to do this, I have no problem with that. I don't. Cinematography. Can anybody tell me what a cinematographer is? Anyone? Producer Phil, do you know what a cinematographer does?
He does cinema, does he not?
He does. God, you are funny. All right, a cinematographer, those who are not keeping score, we're going to break it down for you. Science of art and motion picture photography, either electronically by means, image sensor, chemically by means, light-sensitive material cinematography stock. So they're the people who are out doing, they're the ones who set everything up for the shots, right? They get everything ready. They have everything, boom. So that's what they do, right? They use the lens, the focus, they get the light, they get everything set up, perfect, away it goes. That's their thing. And that's why so many people have a different way they shoot film, right? Oh, this cinematographer's like this. This cinematographer's like that. And then he's like this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Close. Florida looks like they're spared. South Carolina, on the other hand, it could get ugly. Trump talked about Florida.
We got lucky in Florida, very, very lucky indeed.
Let's see where Dorian's just really slow. What kind of, like slow? Like he needs a helmet? You're such a jerk. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Text the program, 323-538-2423. Get you over the hump, kids. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're raising a generation that is much more environmentally conscious. It's second nature for them, for instance, to recycle. Remember, even my generation growing up, certainly other folks know, it wasn't the same. I think the number one thing that we can do is to raise the youngest generation in a more environmentally conscious way. But it also means that we're thoughtful about the choices that we make, right? Making use of public transportation or when we make a decision about what car we're going to drive. In so many different ways, each and every one of us can help ensure that we meet those climate goals in the years to come.
It's a pander fest. It is. It is. I want to do something with the environment. Does anybody have any real solutions? Like honest, solutions? Because we're dealing with us, right? We're not dealing with the rest of the world. So we're dealing with us. And then you look over, you see China and India, and they're not giving up their world, right? So what's the real thing, right? Besides virtue signaling and making everybody feel better. Look, as a kid, I knew littering was bad. You know how I knew? Iron Eyes Cody. Wasn't even a real Indian. Found out he was Italian. Remember that? Right? Standing on the side of the road. It's the 70s. Somebody throws something out on the ground. It rolls right up to his feet. A little tear comes down his eye. You all remember that. Then we found out that he culturally appropriated that. Wasn't even really an Indian. But that's, I knew littering was bad. Here's the thing that we're going to do. Just enough. That's what we do. Just enough. Just enough. Yeah, what? I'll do enough. What's that? What's it worth to you? $100 a year? That's what it's worth to people. That's the reality of that. It's worth $100. Climate change, right? The latest poll is because people want it to be easy, right? We got to get the globe on board. But let's be real. There's technology out there that's coming, right? Including the capture of carbon, which could be huge, right? The capture of all these things, the things that, oh my God, this is great. And there's technology that's 3, 4, 5 years away that we don't even know about, that they don't even know about. They haven't even thought about it. But the reality is we feel, how do I feel? Right? I drive an electric car. Well, how do you think electricity's made? And by the way, those batteries, how do you think they get all that stuff? What do you think that mining comes from? right? And by the way, they have no idea what to do with those things when all is said and done. But you feel good. We'll do just enough, because that's what we do. Just enough when it comes to our thing. There are people out there doing more. But where is the real solutions that also aren't going to crush us? And if it's that dire, then the world needs to get on board. And not just, hey, we were all in Paris and we signed an accord. We'll feel good. We'll be carbon neutral. Never. We'll be this. Never. Like, that's the reality of what we're dealing with. And we got to be smart about it. That's it. All I'm saying. Like, we live here. Let's treat this place better. Let's leave it better for our kids, our grandkids, and let's do that. Great. No problem with that. How do we do it in a way that's real? Right? That's actually based in something that's going to get done, that is not going to be, well, we feel good about us, right? We took care of us, and us was, the lower half of the right leg, but the rest of the body's rotting. So in the end, it doesn't matter. Because again, China and India and any other emerging nation, they don't care. They don't. They're doing their own. Got 1 billion mouths to feed? Sorry. They're going to do their thing. And when it comes to, we need to take more transportation, we're not giving up our cars. Is anybody out there giving up their car, really? Honestly. Like, you'll do it one day. Oh, yeah, we got this thing at work. We're going to ride share. You might do that once. But the reality is we're not giving up our cars. Why? Because we don't live central, right? You live in New York City or maybe in Chicago and a few other places. You live central. You can get to and fro. You live like producer Phil lives across the street. You can walk to work. That's fine. I live 60 miles outside of where I work. I didn't think I could get here carbon neutral, footprint neutral. I couldn't. I wouldn't even. I'm trying to imagine. I'm like, okay, there's no bus that goes this way. I don't think so. It's like, no. And I'm not going to leave at 2 a.m. so I can get somewhere at 11 in the afternoon. 11 o'clock in the morning. It's just not going to happen. It's not. Because we do our own. So we're not doing that. So now we just need to figure out, okay, what are ways that technology can help us when it comes to climate? And we go from there. That's how we address that. Without being absurd and without being ridiculous. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Some of you are texting in. We're talking about guns. And I'm not a gun dude. Right? I've had guns. I'm going to get my concealed carry, right? Because I'm a person that says, you know what? I want to be able to protect myself. And in this day and age, there are some nut jobs out there. And I've had some people who've said some things that are ridiculous. And, there are some kooks out there. And you know what? I'd rather have and not need than need and not have. But it's very interesting to see the way that people react. As everybody gets back, and again, a good portion of Congress is back now, but those are people that are all in committees and hearing everybody's back and working in earnest next week. What will happen with guns? Is there something out there that's real?
There are many proposals put forward. I heard 29 different proposals. So there's no lack of proposal. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Walmart made their decision. Trump even spoke about that.
They feel that what they did is the right thing, and they can do what they have to do. We're working with Congress, I can tell you. A lot of people are working on different scenarios, and we're going to see how it all comes about and what happens. But Walmart, they did what they did.
Yeah, they did what they did. That's their prerogative. Good for them. Do your thing. 1 in 5 bullets in America is sold at a Walmart. So think about that. 1 in 5 sold at a Walmart. What will happen? Maybe 6 months, a year from now, they decide, you know what, we're going to go back to selling it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just go, we're done. I don't know what they're going to do. Quite frankly, I don't care. People say, well, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't buy. The last time I was in a Walmart, I had Jack's first little BB gun, right? Wanted to teach him. I want him to understand. I want him not to be afraid. And I think that there's a lot of that goes around with people and guns, is there's this fear factor of guns, right? And I've had a couple people who were terrified, and then they went out shooting, and they're like, it's such a release. And yes, absolutely. But in saying that, the Walmart I was in, they didn't sell any ammunition. Right? They didn't. But I know a lot of them do. And they made their decision. Zero problems with that. And if it comes back to bite them in the ass, then that's them. That's them. You know? Just like I can look and go, all right, good for you. You made your decision. That's great. I can look at something like San Francisco and go, really? You're calling the NRA a terrorist organization? A domestic terrorist organization? That's what you're doing? That's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's the world we live in. We live in the world of absurd and ridiculous. And it continues to be that way. Right? Because why? Because the absurd and the ridiculous get people to notice. Because if you're just going about doing yourself and you're not standing out and you're not saying something that gets people to go, wait, what? Does anybody even pay attention anymore? I often wonder that in the world of politics. I do. And that's why when you see people, the climate people, I think it's 7 hours or whatever on CNN. 7 hours talking about climate. Right? And they all kind of say the same thing. It's all super expensive, by the way. It's like really expensive. I don't know how we're going to pay for all of this stuff. And along the way, hurt big portions of our economy. But I'm sitting here watching this stuff, and I just, you've got to sometimes say the most absurd things in the world to get anybody to even notice or to applaud anymore. And it's just, maybe our shock value's there. I don't know. It's crazy, though. It is. Some of the stuff I've listened to today. And I love Andrew Yang. I think he's going to give the climate $1,000 a month. His what was it called? Democracy dollars he's handing out. He talked about that today. I'm going to give everybody $100 of democracy dollars where you can spend on any candidate you want. I'm like, this guy, you make me laugh. I like you, Andrew. We'll keep you around. And I love the fact that he doesn't wear a tie. He's just so like, hey, what's up? If he's president, I think that's his presidency. It's no tie, Andrew. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. At your Twitter, you can tweet at me. You can text as well. Love hearing from everybody. I try to answer back everybody. And I know some people get like, sometimes stuff gets lost in a translation. You got to remember, I'm doing all of these shows all day. I answer all my own tweets and texts and all of those things as best as possible. So cut me a little slack every once in a while. I'm just saying. Super Beats, love it. Amazing. Incredible. You've heard me talk about Super Beats forever. I love right now. Listen to this. This right here. Those are the soft chews they've got. So it's great. It's great. So sometimes I don't bring my I don't have the scoop here and a little bit of water, which is the normal Super Beats. They've got these soft chews now. These are so convenient for me. Boom, take a couple of them, away I go. And if you know anything about Beats, you know what Beats has in it. It is what? Nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow. Better flow equals better energy, efficiency throughout the body. And yes, supports healthy blood pressure. Nobody wants to go out and eat I'm just going to go eat a bunch of Beats. No, that's where Super Beats comes in. It is incredible. Are you ready for this? 1 scoop of Super Beats has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Science team behind Super Beats has conducted 11 clinical trials and was given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. It's incredible what they've done. And now you have a chance to do something that's amazing. Try Super Beats risk-free for 90 days. Visit superbeatsradio.com/Chad. You're going to get a free 30-day supply, free shipping, free nitric oxide strips to test your nitric oxide levels. You're going to go, whoa, check this out. And that's all with your first purchase. Call their toll-free number at 800-875-9341 or go to superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
And as it relates to those Republicans in Congress where I've now been for 2.5 years, every one of those members needs to look at the babies, the grandbabies in their life, and then look in the mirror and ask themselves, why have they failed to act? Because on the issue of this climate crisis, I'm going to tell you, I strongly believe this is a fight against powerful interests. And leaders need to lead. So lead, follow, or get out the way. And get out the way starting with Donald Trump.
Woo! Move, fool. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. Kamala Harris there. Again, the whole climate thing is, and I love how everybody talks about special interests as if they're the ones like, we don't have any Look, I don't know what you guys are talking about. There's no special interest over here. Just union members, they're not special interest, right? Wall Street, they're not special interest, right? There's not, nobody over here is special interest. Like, everybody acts like, nah. No, hey, special interest is special interest, right? Everybody wants the dollar. That's the thing, right? With D.C. is power needs money to feed off of to continue to maintain power. And other people want to make sure they continue to have the fuel, i.e. the money and the influence to do the things they want to do. So they're going to go naturally, right, and be drawn to one another. Hell yeah, the fossil fuel industry spends a ton of money going out there talking about climate change. And, hey, don't blame us. You guys caused some of this stuff. You guys caused a bunch of this mess. It's not all your fault. They want to blame you for everything. I'm not going to blame you for everything. Right? And, yeah, you funneled a ton of money. And at the same time, they got tons of people on the other side throwing huge money at it. Right? I got a buddy who's a scientist. Works in the industry, if you will, of education. And we joke about this all the time. He's like, man, I can make it. You tell me what you want when it comes to science, and I can make it happen for you, right? So if you want me to tell you that sugary drinks are amazing for you, I'll figure it out. If you want me to tell you that this is bad, I'll figure it out. We could do that. But he knows where his bread is buttered. He's like, I couldn't talk about stuff like this. No, you couldn't. Why? Because you're getting paid. Right? You're getting paid. That's the team you're on. That is. And here's the other thing. People are all over, right? Prince William and everybody and Harry and Meghan. It's, they take private jets. Yeah, they should. All right? You're the prince. Right? Prince took a private jet. You're an actual prince. You could take a private jet. I got zero problems with it. Other people want to bitch about you doing it. Just don't tell us how to live your life. I got zero problems with it. I got none. I could care less. You're supposed to take a damn private jet, for God's sakes. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm sorry. I don't want to be in an airplane and go, is Harry in business class? Right? No. Take a private jet. It's just so stupid. People get all upset. I just don't want to hear about it all the time. That's just it. It's the lecturing. I'm only going to have 2 children because I don't want to destroy the world. Okay. Whatever. You should fly. Never. Now, there's my problem. But you taking a private jet, yeah, you know what? You have a different circumstance than us. And I have news for you. If I'm a prince, if ever one day I am a prince or a king of Chadlandia, damn Skippy, I'm going to take a private jet. All over the place. Oh, Chad, that's going to... What? You live a different world. I'm not going to bitch about it. I hate the people do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Speaking of bitching, wait till you hear this story from down under. You would think it would be like a place like San Francisco or Seattle or Austin that came up with this. But nope. Australia. Oh, baby. It's Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I came from the dream time, from the dusty red soil plains.
It's the Seekers.
I am the ancient heart, the keeper of.
They're from Australia.
I stood upon the rocky shore.
I'm going to tell you guys this. This next story.
For 40,000 years I've been the first Australian.
You would think comes from America because it's so wacky. You would. So imagine this. You live in a place where on one side of you is a family, and on the other side is a family. You are in the center of that. And you don't like the things that are happening out there, including barbecuing.
This isn't your average neighbourhood dispute. It's a battle between a vegan and meat eaters, a health-conscious massage therapist and the barbecuers next door.
They've put it so...
By the way, can I just say, they act like the meat eaters are these evil. Yeah, it's these people here are bad because they eat meat, and this person over here is health-conscious, right?
Barbecuers next door.
They've put it so you smell fish. All I smell is fish.
Scylla Carden is vegan and she's fed up with the meaty smells coming from over the fence of her Girraween home.
I can't enjoy my backyard. I can't go out there.
So she's pissed because they're meat eaters and they barbecue. What? Now, like when I first heard this, I'm like, oh, it's got to be San Francisco, right? This screams of New York or San Francisco or one of these woke places. No, it's Australia. Are you kidding me? Now, look, I am not a fan. Can we all just raise our hands if you're not a fan of fish smell? And I'm going to say this happened here a couple weeks ago. So the way that these studios, I'm blessed. I have my own little studio. I'm on a different side of the building, all the other stations and all the other people on the other side. And I kind of have my own little kitchen over here. But somebody came over here the other day and they cooked fish. And they're like, well, I didn't want to smell up the other one. Oh, God. And we all know it smells, right? But they're mad about all kinds of smells, right? Now, this is your backyard, by the way.
She's also furious at cigarette smoke wafting into her yard, so angry she's taken her right for a fume-free existence all the way to the WA Supreme Court.
It's deliberate.
And the smell is just the start of her complaints against two separate neighbours on Rochford Way.
They've just banged the wall at any time when I've been sleeping. Then their kids with their basketballs. It's been devastating. It's been a turmoil. There's been unrest. I haven't been able to sleep.
I got to be honest with you. You don't have to see her to think to yourself, I feel like you're kind of victim-y all the time, right? All the time. So she's taken this to the Western Adelaide Supreme Court, right? Western Australia. She's taking it to the Supreme Court, the Court of the Supremes. Because the smoking, I get it, right? But it's your backyard, right? I can't control the weather, which way it wafts. Right? Maybe you're well in patchouli and not a fan of patchouli. Right? Maybe that. But, I'm not taking it to the Supreme Court. Right? And on the other side of things, you don't like these people over here because they have kids and they play basketball out back and they barbecue stuff. Oh! So we're going to the Supreme Court. Wonder what they did.
It was thrown out of court, and despite the anger, the neighbours just want to be left alone, declining an interview, telling us they want to keep the peace.
Going to the Supreme Court is an extreme option.
The other neighbour said in a statement Ms Carden's demands were proven to be not reasonable and indeed were to the detriment of the other owners' ability to enjoy their lots in a reasonable and acceptable manner.
Translation, she's nuts. You can ask the kids, hey, can you guys play, between 9 and, whatever, right? Can you do that? Well, that's a fair thing. By the way, the owners, one of them says, we don't barbecue anymore. We moved the barbecue to a certain area, and we don't let the kids play out back, right? Like, we're doing everything we can, right? They've thrown it out, but it ain't over.
But the legal battles aren't over just yet. Scylla Carden is vowing to return to court to continue the fight against her neighbours.
If you're having a dispute, the first step is you should go next door and try and sort it out face to face. Because if you don't do it that way, you're going to be up for a world of misery.
Exactly what I've wanted from the word go is to live my life in peace and to get on with my life.
She just, can we all agree she sounds a little victim-y? I just really want to live and just my life and just get on with my life and just leave it and stuff. And she goes and stay. Even if, like, your neighbors are, like, getting rid of stuff. Say, all right, kids aren't going to play. We're going to move this over here. We do everything we possibly can. It's still not enough. The courts looked at you already at one time and said, no, you're insane. We're not going to do that. And it's still not enough for you. And the first thing I thought, though, it's got to be California. The screams of California. Something would happen there. Because, I don't like what they're eating. I don't like the language they use. I don't like what they're eating. I don't like their politics. Did you know they're a meat eater? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Border security. You guys remember border? There's emergency, all this stuff. Oh, my God, what's going to happen? Well, what's going on now with border security? Trump.
We think by the end of next year, which will be sometime right after the election, actually, but we think we're going to have close to 500 miles of wall, which will be complete. That'll be what we wanted to do, is about 500 miles. That will take care of all of the areas that we wanted, including some of the marginal areas that we didn't necessarily need, but if we could have gotten it done. We were looking to do about a 500-mile stretch. We should have it almost complete, if not complete, by the end of next year.
Now, is that really going to happen? I don't know. Let's remember this, too, right? Mexico, they were supposed to pay for that, if I'm correct.
It's not coming from Mexico.
Wait, what?
It's not coming from Mexico.
What? No, wait. I thought they were paying for it.
It's not coming from Mexico.
Oh. Do you guys know that they're not paying for it? Well, are you sure?
It's not coming from Mexico. We can tell you that Mexico is not paying for the wall. Taxpayers will be paying for this new construction. This is $3.6 billion.
Maybe taxpayer is Latin for Mexico. Let me look. Nope.
For this new construction. This is $3.6 billion, and the Pentagon says this is being taken from 127 military projects. Half of those are here in the U.S., half of them are abroad. They have not yet released the list of specifically which projects are being defunded, but they are in the process of briefing members of Congress who are going to be losing some of these projects that were supposed to take place in their districts. As you can imagine, that is not something that's likely to make these members of Congress very happy.
No. So what we know is it's not coming from Mexico. They are not paying for it. So, Now, here's the other thing. As they start to build on the wall. And I want everybody who's so pissed off that this is so divisive. Just want to know where some of this money's coming from and some of this work, as far as being scheduled, how some of this stuff got to be.
So the president has said a lot of things about the wall over his tenure as president. Of course, Mexico paying for it, and then, we'll pay for it, but Mexico will reimburse it. And then, the wall is already under construction. And then we learned that actually some of that construction was already funded by the previous administration and had been planned and had nothing to do with the promised wall.
What? So the other administration has built some of this evil, racist wall, and it's a fence. Let's be real. It's a fence. It's not a wall. It's not. It's a fence. I've seen some of the fence. Been down. The Yuma's got a nice fence, and it's great. I walked behind it, and then I walked on the other side. I walked around it. It's a nice fence, though. It is, right? It is. But it's... just makes me laugh. I just sit there and laugh. It's a wall. It's a fence. So Jack and I, we were driving. So we're driving from Phoenix down to San Diego, and I pointed out the fence. It's like, Daddy, is that Trump's wall? I said, no, it's been there forever. It's been there for a long time. It's like, really? Like, he was shocked, because he's 9, he doesn't know, and he hears stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, well, but, like the whole thought process is walls built strictly by Trump. It's not. The fence in Yuma was by the previous administration, and it's useless. It's useless. Totally useless. They've got video last week of people walking around the fence. Imagine having a fence in your front yard. and all you had was the front yard fenced, like the side of the yard, completely unfenced. That's kind of what a lot of this is, right? It is. Like the driveway is unfenced, so you just get on the driveway and walk around. It's a great start. Stephen Wright, who's a comic, great comic. Love Stephen Wright. Just the most deadpan humor in the world. He has a start of one of his comedy specials where he walks out of his house and there's a white picket fence and it's only about 5 feet long. And he walks through the gate and then he locks it as if nobody can get around. And that's kind of what that fence is. It's not real. It's useless. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us millennials. Credit. They'll need some. Do they want any?
Credit can be hard to come by, especially if you're a millennial.
58% of millennials have been denied at least one financial product because of their credit score. And that's way more than we see among older adults.
Creditcards.com's Ted Rossman says there are a few reasons why.
They may be so new to credit that they're just getting started and they haven't built up a good score, or they might be dragged down by student loans or perhaps a spotty payment history.
Only 35% of Generation Xers, baby boomers, and the silent generation have been denied credit.
Yeah. And you need some credit, not a ton of credit, right? Better to pay as much as you can in cash. But that generation, and this is what I talk about when we look into the future when it comes to college and all this stuff, that generation is coming out with a mortgage payment around their neck, but no house that they're building wealth off. They got an education. But what good is that in a lot of ways, right? Especially it depends on what your education is. But I'm like, wow. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at, because they're looking at a lot of things, not just your payment history. They're going to look and say, well, wait a minute, you make $3,000 a month after, you make $5,000 a month, but you've got, $1,000 in this payment here. And that, yeah, it's huge. And that will affect the economy. Absolutely it will. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That there is your Twitter. Check out the chadshow.com. Grab your podcast right there. It's a good podcast, too. It is. It's a very good podcast, if I could say so. And I will. I work with a great organization. I always say that. I mean it. Wounded Paw Project is awesome. Check them out, woundedpawproject.org. They realize there's a need. So the guy who founded the company, the organization, wounded in the service of his country, struggling big time, and looking for something. Got a service animal, changed everything. Light came on, says, hey, we got 20 veterans today who are committing suicide. We have men and women who are first responders in our family that could use this kind of support. But he also realized there was issues out there with too many animals being euthanized, too many dogs being killed every single day. So he said, let me rescue some dogs, see if I can train them to go from shelter dogs to service dogs. And he did. And now he's saving a paw to save a life. And what it does for both the people who get the dogs and the dog itself is amazing. But it's not cheap. Need your help. They absolutely need your help. Car, truck, RV, boat, flies, drives, whatever it is, they'll pick it up, whether it works or doesn't. You're getting a great tax-deductible gift. They also take cash, which is great. Even if it's $1, they'll take it. But check it out for yourself. See the work they're doing. It is amazing. WoundedPawProject.org, WoundedPawProject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729, or WoundedPawProject.org. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBensonSon, Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
They fought last year. They did. An exhibition. Million pay-per-view. Million. Who are they? Logan Paul, KSI, a British YouTuber, and an American YouTuber. Lots of followers. They fought made a ton of money. They're going to do it again. This time for real. No headgears, none of that stuff. They're going to go at it.
I don't think you realize what you've walked into.
Mark my words, that mother is going down.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
The hell of a fight. This fight is a majority draw. I think we got a rematch. I think it's what the people want.
No headgear. What?
I'm gonna murder that dude, bro.
I finish you off and end your career.
There's going to be like 2 million people to buy that. I just was fascinated. I thought, wow, they're going to fight for real. At Staples Center, they expect to sell out 20,000 people with 1 million to 2 million more on pay-per-view. Is that insane? They're real boxers? Never see that. Ever. Ever. That's the power of social media. Now I'm going to make you guys feel really uncomfortable. Right? As if that couldn't do it. Cash Me Outside. You guys know who she is? Right? Bad Barbie. Bad B. She's got a new game that people are playing. Video game. Ride or Die is what it's called. Now, producer Phil, how many people do you think follow her on the gram?
The stupid is strong in America, so I'm going to say 300,000.
17 million is the answer I was looking for. 17 million people. She has turned an episode on Dr. Phil for Cash Me Outside, like, stealing cars, wielding her knife, going to beat everybody's ass, into a ton of money. She is making millions. And now she's got a video game. I just find it to be fascinating. And I think it's what's great about America. That, to me, is what's great about America. A girl that's on Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil should get a cut. He should. People are like, I got to get on Dr. Phil and go crazy. I got to do something. I need to go viral, and Dr. Phil's going to take me there. He is the kingmaker. It's all 6 degrees of separation of Oprah. Because Oprah made Dr. Phil, which in turn made Bad Barbie. So that's why Oprah can't be president. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. You can check out the Instagram as well. I do not have 17 million followers. That feels like a lot of work. It does. And I feel like you have to have somebody always with you taking a picture that looks like a selfie, but it's not a selfie, and we have to be in a weird situation where I'm like hanging from a tree sideways, look at me, yoked, or, doing something on a boat. Look at me, oh! Nah. I'll pass. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter and Graham. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And so my plan actually calls for new civil rights legislation.
By the way, this is Julian Castro. We're talking about climate change. Like, if I told you, what do you think we're talking about?
And so my plan actually calls for new civil rights legislation.
Climate change probably wouldn't be there, but that's what they're, because they had the big town hall meeting going on tonight. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, Secretary of whatever it is that you're doing now.
And so my plan actually calls for new civil rights legislation to be able to address environmental injustice, including making sure that there is a private right of action to go to file lawsuits against polluters. This is the way that it used to be until a Supreme Court case a few years ago.
There you go. So they're all there tonight. You got the old Biden on there. Biden looks surprised, like, why? Why are these people in my living room? I read a Guardian article the other day. It says his wife wants to be first lady more than he wants to be president. I think it's true. I don't think he's up for it. You know what? Here's the thing. When it comes to this, I think a lot of people want to be president, and they've done the political stuff, and they've got to the point where the last thing for them to do essentially is that. But you know what they don't want to do? They don't want to campaign. They like the day-to-day. And a majority of people that end up being president, they're great at the campaigning. They're always not great at the day-to-day sometimes. I think Joe wouldn't mind the day-to-day. I don't think he has it in him to do this. And I don't think here's the thing. Do you really think, honestly, between you, me, and the other 6 people that are listening, do you think he believes any of this crap, the town hall stuff he's talking about tonight? I mean, honestly. Yes, who doesn't want a better environment? I'm going to tell you right now. I want a better environment. I want a cleaner environment. I want to get off fossil fuels. Right? I want a cleaner, better environment. I would love to have a car that could just drive forever, wouldn't hurt the environment, didn't have to stop, put fossil fuels in it, didn't have to. Who wouldn't want that? Duh, I wouldn't want that because I like giving my money to big oil. No, of course we would want that, for God's sake. Come on, get your head out your butt. I'm just saying, like, how many of them really buy into this stuff? Feel like, I got to go do this. I got to talk about this stuff that I know is just like a pipe dream. Right? It's, I mean, I got to go placate this group of people right here and tell them about what I'm going to do. And for some of them, it's just a means to an end. What they want is more power, right? And both sides do it however they get it, right? They're going to, I need this. I need you to give me a little bit of this. Give me up a little bit of this because I need more power. And people are like, okay. So the Green New Deal is a perfect example of that. Cost a lot of money, right? And when you ask people, all right, well, what'd you break it down for me? Well, here's the, no, break it down for me. And you talk about all these amazing jobs and all these things. It's great. Sounds great. Break it down for me. Tell me how it's going to happen. Break it down for me. The whole 9 yards. And along the way, it's about addressing a lot of other things that have very little to do with climate change. And a lot to do with a bunch of other stuff, which sees us giving more and more power to the people that I think deserve it probably the least, which is government. Just throwing it out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. We're talking about guns today. It's a perfect example of power, right? The NRA is powerful. I don't care what anybody says. And I'm not a member of the NRA, right? I'm not a member at all of the NRA. I know a lot of people that are. I've got a couple friends who are very liberal who are members of the NRA. Don't like what they've become, but that's any organization. You got, San Francisco today coming out. We're going to turn you into a terrorist organ. You guys are a domestic terrorist organization because you give guns to people who want to kill us. There's a perfect example of the battle that goes on in the world of politics and BS. Because what is everybody after in the world of politics? They want to keep their fiefdom. What is their fiefdom to them? It's power. It's being relevant. I don't want to lose any of that. I got to hold on to my fiefdom, right? So you get San Francisco, right? He goes out yesterday, and just does what San Francisco does, and as wacky as can be. And
the NRA exists to spread disinformation and knowingly puts weapons in the hands of those who would harm and terrorize us.
San Francisco. By the way, how do they knowingly do that? I'm curious. I mean, answer that question for me. Catherine, Stephanie, she's the head of the Board of Supervisors out there, who they passed an amendment essentially yesterday declaring that the NRA is a domestic terrorist. And I'm curious, like how do you know that they're doing that? They wake up in the morning and you have some sort of special line to somebody in there. Somebody's on the inside said, hey, let me tell you something. This person over here's got this gun. We gave it to him. Don't tell anybody I told you. And she's openly admitted it's a great way. Because here's the thing. They go and do that, right? So they go in California and they say, which they make it as hard as you can be to own guns and whatnot. And they say, all right, here's the deal. you guys are now a domestic terrorist organization based on what we say. And then they'll say, hey, you over there, you're part of the NRA. You're a member of the NRA. And because of that, you're a member of the domestic terrorist organization. So we have every right to potentially come and get your gun. Even you may just have a handgun and a shotgun. That's power. It's a power grab. Right? It's a power grab. That's what it's all about. Who can have the most power? And they try their damn hardest to get as much power as possible. Both sides play this game. Both sides do. It's frustrating as hell, I'll tell you that. It is. But again, it's we can sit here and talk about this crap till we're blue in the face. What actually gets done? It's like tonight. They're sitting here talking about all this climate. Like climate. We're going to talk about all this climate. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. What is anybody proposing that's like, okay, that sounds reasonable, right? I've yet to have, and I would just love somebody to just step up and go, all right, here's the deal. There's only so much we can do because we're one portion of it. We consume a lot of fossil fuels, but we also try to do a lot, and we're going to be carrying the heavy freight here. And the reality is China and India aren't going to play the same game, and they got billions of mouths to feed, and so we're going to have to deal with some of that. So we're going to use technology in a way that's going to be beneficial. Try to capture all that nastiness that's polluting. See if we can do something like that. We're going to do that. We're going to be smart about it. But I'm not going to destroy our economy along the way so we fall further and further behind other people and have an unfair advantage and make it so the people at the bottom have to spend a lot more money than the people at the top just to survive. Not going to do that. We're going to do it in a smart way. The world's not coming to an end in 12 years or 25 years, 35 years. It's just not going to happen. But let's be real. We need to do some stuff. We need to take better care, be better caretakers of our planet. But that's not, here's the funny thing. I think people who ask these questions and are there, I don't think they want that. I think they want you to come in and tell them you're going to make the world a better place. You're going to do all of this stuff. This is what I want you to do. You better do it, and you better tell me. I don't want you to tell me the truth. I don't want you to give me anything other than what I want to hear. It's kind of weird, right? Like you should say, well, hold on. You don't want the truth? Nah, I don't want the truth. I want you to tell me what I want to hear. But I'm curious at how many of these people buy into this. I'm curious. Because they all say a lot of things, right? Trump says a lot of stuff. You're like, does he really believe that? Right? And I know some of the stuff he does is trolling. And I love the way that people react because it's just ridiculous. And I know at the same time he says a lot of stuff that maybe he does believe in. It's BS. Right? But let's be real. How many of them, do you really think you're going to give everybody everything? I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to take away this. I'm going to take away that. I'm going to do this. And here's you go. And I'm going to take away this. And this is not. And there you go. Really? Do you believe that? Maybe some people do. And everybody gets a unicorn. Oh, that's awesome. What's its carbon footprint? It's 4 hooves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Oh, a lot of stuff still to get to, including little what's next and what's trending. Oh, God, what is trending in this world? We got some interesting stuff that's trending. We'll talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege, please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Every time I hear that, I think, how do you live? How do you live? How do you wake up in the day? Just listening to point of personal privilege, it just sounds like, are you okay? Because I feel like you're not okay. I feel like you're Like you need help. That's all I'm just trying. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to overstep, but I just feel like you need a little help.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Try to keep you hip and cool. It's with the kids. They got stuff that's trending out there. Let's take a look what's trending on the old Twitter. Climate Town Hall, trending right now. Racist Deborah Messing, we're going to touch more on her in a little bit. But apparently she said people who are black and vote for Trump are mentally ill, and so people have gone after her. She deserves a little bit of going after her, I got to be honest with you. Sharpie Gate is trending, and Jacob Wohl is also trending. He's wanted on felony arrest. He's the blundering conservative operative facing one charge of unlawfully selling securities in California. No idea who he is. Zero idea. I heard it. I'm like, Jacob Wohl. Yeah. See? But apparently he's trending. He's trending, kids. He's trending. So he was selling stuff he shouldn't have been selling. On the Google. Porsche Taycan is the first Porsche that's electrical. Look at that. Look at the way they're doing that right there. All right? Making the world a better place. LaShawn is a Grammy Award-winning songwriter. He's passed away at age 41. Brock Turner, remember him? He's the scumbag swimmer who got off with virtually nothing. Well, his victim is speaking out. She revealed her identity. And Mac Miller is also trending. He was a rapper who passed away, and he's trending because the person who sold him the drugs on which he died is going to face charges because he sold him counterfeit, and guess what they had in him? Anybody want to know what they... Yeah, fentanyl. You guys are right. Fentanyl was what they had in them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Banjo-Kazooie is also trending. I have no idea what that is. And Bad Boys 3. Somebody's like, Martin Lawrence must have called Will Smith, said, Will, dude, please. So, all right. This is it. Don't call me again. This is it. Last time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Trump's speaking today about, Walmart. Also speaking today about the NRA.
We're going to do what's right. I respect the NRA greatly. They were very nice to me. They supported me, and I have great respect for them. They love our country. But we're going to do what's right. And you know what? The NRA wants to do what's right, too.
People say, no, they don't. Yeah, I think the average person does. Again, understand that these organizations have stopped being what they were founded on, whether it's Planned Parenthood, a lot of other stuff. Planned Parenthood wasn't really found the best thing, but over the years, even when they've tried to pivot in a different direction, like last year, and it lasted, 9 months before they got rid of their CEO because she wasn't political enough in the things that they wanted, right? So even then, it's like these things are much different. They're a political machine now. You know that, and I know that. None of you are fools. You guys get that. Everybody out there, you guys get that. So I don't know what's going to happen with gun legislation. And I saw Mitch McConnell, who, by the way, saw butthurt. Like, wow, they're making fun of my name. Call me Moscow Mitch. I was laughing. I was listening to Mitch. So mean to me. It's like, dude, just shut up. Just laugh. Just laugh a little bit, right? They're making fun of you. You got yourself a hashtag. You should be happy. Most people would love a hashtag, right? You got yourself one and you're whining about it. But if I have a feeling, and this is just me, and some of the people, I've got sources, people who work for senators, some senators themselves on both sides of the aisle, as well as Congress people on both sides of the aisle, that there's a fear when it comes to Mitch and Trump that Mitch might be open to doing some things, but his fear is he hears Trump say, yeah, if you got me a bill, I'd sign it. And then Mitch goes and passes something, and then it gets there, and he's like, I decided not to sign it. Is that fear? Of like, well, what did you get me to do that for? I can't believe they make fun of me all the time. Oh, they do. We all do. I make fun of you. Probably why you won't come on the show. And I'm okay with that. I am. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. The number one despised companies in America. We'll talk about that. Whoopi's got harsh words for Deborah Messing and Eric McCormick. That's Will and Grace, for those of you who do not know. Or for those of you who probably do. Kids are like, who are Will and Grace? They were a show in the 90s and the early 2000s. They're back again because Hollywood's run out of ideas. Talk about that straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Why can't we get along? Why can't we look at each other and say, hey, you're a human being, but I voted for somebody on the other side? I don't care. Because I don't know why we can't. I don't know why we can't have conversations anymore that are not based in politics, just based as human beings. You know, people say, what's your show about? I said, everything. I said, talk about sports, talk about music, talk about everything. We have fun because that's what life is, right? Going around talking about everything. I don't know how people sit here and talk about politics 24/7. I don't. But Chad, you're on the radio. You're supposed to be. No, I'm not. Right? I want to act like you and I are hanging out, having a good time. It's just you and I hanging out, having dinner, talking about the kids, talking about everything, how these things affect our lives. They don't affect our lives. How it's nuts. We can't have nice things because we won't let each other have nice things because we're too busy, right? Being tribal. And fighting. I don't get it. Why can't you hear what somebody else has to say? I don't care what it's about. Guns, climate change, pro-choice, pro-life. Why can't you listen? What scares you that you're going to find out on the other side? And I think a lot of it is our ego. There's a big thing that goes with our ego. Because if we are caught out in believing something that isn't true, or isn't true to the extent that we thought, that's a big blow, right? Right? That's a big blow. That's huge. For our ego. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I understand that. But we're at this point where it's ridiculous. We live in a cancel culture where we want to cancel everybody. We want to destroy their livelihood based on their political affiliation. Touched on a bit yesterday with Eric McCormick, who's Will, and Deborah Messing, who's Grace, from Will and Grace, and how they went after people who are going to be at a Trump fundraiser in Beverly Hills, and they want to know who they are and exactly what they've done so they know that they can never work with them again based on that, because that is super diversity right there. It's groupthink, right? Nothing in the world's... Do you know what, to me, when I think of groupthink, do you know what, to me, when I think of groupthink, I think of cult, right? I think of cult. I don't think of diversity. I think of cult. And it's just amazing that we live in this day and age that people will do that, right? Especially when you're supposed to be woke, right? Especially when you're supposed to be. And I hear all the time, well, Chad, the left is so diverse and the right is what? Well, they're bad and evil and they're all these things. No, they've got their problems, but so does the left. Nobody ever wants to see the problems in their house. Everybody always wants to give you advice on something, right? And a lot of times the people that are giving advice have no place to give any advice whatsoever. So I was happy yesterday when Whoopi Goldberg came out and went after him on The View.
Deborah Messing and Eric McCormick are calling on The Hollywood Reporter to print a list of all the attendees of a Beverly Hills fundraiser for you-know-who, so they know who they don't want to work with. They say that the public has a right to know. Listen, last time people did this, people ended up killing themselves. This is not a good idea. Your idea of who you don't want to work with is your personal business. Do not encourage people to print out lists, because the next list that comes out, your name will be on, and then people will be coming after you.
Yeah, and she's absolutely right. She is, right? She's absolutely right. Same thing happened with one of the Castro brothers who they printed stuff about who donated here. We've seen it in the past in little places, right, where somebody finds out that they gave money years ago to something, and they come after him. I always go back to the guy that was the president of Mozilla and Firefox, who believed in traditional marriage a decade earlier, and they found out that he had given money to, a supporter against Prop 8. I can't even remember. I mean, it was just so stupid. It was like $1,000 or something. And they went after to the point where he had got his dream job, and they destroyed him to where he had to resign because he had a different belief system. What in sweet mamma jamma are we doing with one another that we can't even look over to a fellow American who voted or has a different political view and say, I don't agree with that, but I'll hear what you have to say. And they're like, how the kids, right? Because we just can't. For whatever reason. And when in this cancel culture, we're no longer interested in having a conversation. What we want to do is to punish and destroy people who don't think like we do.
We had something called the blacklist, and a lot of really good people were accused of stuff. Nobody cared whether it was true or not. They were accused, and they lost their right to work. You don't have the right in this country. People can vote for who they want to. That is one of the great rights of this country. You don't have to like it, but we don't go after people because we don't like who they voted for.
No, but we do now. We do, right? We go after, in the cancel culture, anybody we don't agree with in the groupthink world. I don't like what you've talked about here because you have a differing opinion of the LGBT community or of Muslims or of Christians or of this or of that, or because you support, the Second Amendment, or I don't. So what I'm going to do is do everything in my power to destroy you, to out you as something evil and bad, to paint you as something, even if it's not true, because in this day and age, we don't care about the truth. All we want to do is do our virtue signaling, act like we're part of the woke generation, destroy somebody, and we'll just move on. We're just going to move on. We're just going to move on. We don't care if it's true. We don't care how it affects you or your family, your livelihood, the people that work with you. We don't care about any of that. And that is a sad, sad, sad thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Dorian still slow. Dorian is not a sprinter. Dorian's more of just like, I'm coming. I got stuff. We're coming. Here we come. President Trump was out. And by the way, can I just make this statement? I don't care who you are in politics, right? When you bring out a board and you got a pointer, I'm not into that. But he did that this morning from the Oval Office talking about Florida.
We got lucky in Florida, very, very lucky indeed.
Lucky indeed, but also talked about the Bahamas. And if you've not seen the Bahamas, go look at pictures, because what's left is not the Bahamas.
We're helping in a humanitarian way. We've been asked to help by the government of the Bahamas, and we have numerous helicopters, and we're sending some people to give them a hand, and they need a big hand. What's going on over there is incredible. Few people have seen anything like that.
Yeah, it looks like pictures from World War II after the destruction at Hiroshima, or after the massive tsunami, throughout Southeast Asia. I mean, it looks frightening. There's nothing left there in certain areas. It is just, I was telling somebody yesterday, it reminds me of, they'll show a town in the middle of the country that's been hit by a tornado, but you only see like one street because a lot of houses, tornadoes, it's very bizarre. They may hit one thing, but imagine a tornado essentially that just destroyed everything. And that's what it looks like. Just nothing left, just debris, just absolute insanity. Producer Phil, remind everybody again about nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Doesn't have to always be an animal. Just putting it out there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out the old Instagram as well. So the kids call it the gram, right? So you got the Instagram. I was reading today that Facebook is toying with the idea of getting rid of likes. So you can see who's liked. Like they're going to do with Instagram because they own Instagram. They're going to do the same thing that potentially with Instagram because they feel that it's going to help your mental well-being, I guess. So you're not in competition. Life is a competition. So let's not pretend it's not. And I find it to be interesting because here's the thing. And this is why, they've done this in Australia with Instagram. And I don't know if they're going to do it here because these things are set up to be very much like video games, right? Video games, it's about what? Achievement, badge, continuing to grow, competition, the whole 9 yards. There's a certain portion of that dopamine released. Yeah. If you get rid of these things, right? If you get rid of these things, in particular, situations like Instagram where you get rid of likes and you have people who are huge influencers, it's not for you and I, right? But, if all of a sudden, as the Jenners have done, right? Kylie and Kendall and the Kardashians say, we're not going to use Instagram anymore because of this. But even to a certain extent, the average person, we like to see it because there is that certain sense of competition. And I just don't know how Facebook thinks it can do it. Well, it's better for our well-being. Maybe in some ways so, right? But the reality is people are about achieving. They want to see. There is still that competition side of it. And if you take that away, people are going to go look elsewhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and Instagram. You can like my stuff or not like my stuff. I don't really bother. I think if I was younger, I'd care. I see it with my son. He cares about stuff like that. Like, Dad, if I started a YouTube channel, do you think I'd get a good trillion people? I mean, maybe. I don't know. But they care about that. They do. They absolutely. They get 5 likes. Oh, my God, there's so much worth in it. But we'd have done the same thing if we'd have grown up. But we don't. We didn't grow up with that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
The Gallup poll reporting that pharmaceutical companies have the most negative image of all companies or organizations in the U.S. Nearly 60% of Americans polled gave drug companies a thumbs down. Just 27% had a positive view. The federal government was a close second as the most negatively viewed. Americans, though, continue to give their highest ratings to restaurants and computer industries. Supermarkets and farmers also rank near the top of that Gallup positive feelings poll.
Positive feelings, you've got positive. Here's the thing. We don't like the pharmaceutical companies because they've been painted as nothing but evil, money-grabbing, greedy SOBs that are only out to steal everybody's stuff. All right? Not saying there's not people in the industry that have been that way before. I'm sure there is. And I'm sure there are people in the industry who would love to maximize all of their profits as much as possible. But we never say, hey, attaboy for developing that drug that fights leukemia for kids. We never say that. Because all we hear is the negative, right? You say something long enough. And we need to get control of the price of pharmaceuticals. You're going to get in an argument with me. But there's a lot that goes into it. And that's why I always like to juxtapose positions, right? I want to look at everything here, right? Yeah, the rent's too damn high, and sometimes the pharmaceuticals are too damn high. And I don't want to subsidize the world in their medication. But I also like the fact that we have stuff that nobody else has. We do. Again, I was at the Phoenix Children's Hospital a few weeks ago doing our big give-a-thon, and I talked to a couple doctors. They were talking about some of the stuff they have. They're like, yeah, nobody else on the planet has this. Not even people here in this country, very few. Like no one else. You're years away from getting it. To treat children with specialty diseases. And I understand what it's about when it comes to this particular thing. But it is funny how we dislike. And how we look at some stuff as that's a noble profession, and other stuff is like, ooh, you're a bad person because you wear a tie and you make money and you're on Wall Street or you're an evil person, which is, that's a bunch of crap. Right? There's bad people everywhere and there's good people everywhere. Right? There's good people everywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So. They're talking old Bernie. Bernie, how are you going to, let's just see. So we're not even going to talk about all your other stuff, right? You got a $16 trillion climate. How are you paying for that? This is what we're going to do. We're going to take the money. We're going to go with the 1%. We're just going to take all the money they have. Just going to take it. We're going to burn it. Just going to fight the fossil fuels. All right, but who's paying for that? Well, you. Remember, and this is something I always try to tell everybody, when that 1% get sick and tired of being here, one thing they have is mobility because they have that, a 1/10 of 1% and all. Eventually, they go away, and then the next group, right, the top 10%, you become that 1% that they're looking to go, hey, is there any way you give me some more money? And then eventually, that goes away, and then they're looking around going, People want to know how it works so well in Europe for a lot of this stuff, It's because the middle class pays for the middle class pays for the middle class. They rob Peter to pay Paul. Or Sven to pay Kelky. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. How close is the storm? What potentially is going to happen with Dorian?
The biggest problem will be storm surge. That could mean 3 to 5 feet, maybe as much as 7 feet of water that they are not used to having even at high tide. And that, of course, could mean disastrous flooding.
Yeah, so Jacksonville. But what the reality is the brunt of everything is moving and staying off the coast. There could be storm surges. There could be some nastiness. There could be a some of it that gets over and eventually drops a ton of rain in South Carolina and some other places, but it doesn't look like it is going to do the damage that, say, Maria did, unless we're up to 20 people now dead confirmed in the Bahamas. And it's an ugly situation, and it's not going to get any prettier soon in the sense that there are 3 ones they really think have a chance of becoming something behind this. So could be a long year, or it could be nothing. You just don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I do love hearing from every single one of you. Again, I try to get back to everybody. I do it all myself. All right? I do it all myself. So I got my team, the Helson, does all the other stuff. I can only ask them to do so much. I got a ton of stuff to do. And I try to answer everybody back because I think it's fair. But there's only so much I can do. So just bear with me at times, all right? 323-538-2423. We're also going to start streaming soon. So prepared. You can see my face doing some of this stuff. Oh, I know it's awful, but that is the reality of the world that we live in. I'm just saying, kids. I'm just throwing it out there. Have yourself a wonderful night. Do it again tomorrow. Night, check.
This is The Chad Benson Show.